hello, E. Welcome, 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 welcome. Thank you all for being here today. We are here for Intimacy and Alchemy. This is like technically the first episode, right? But y'all already know what's up. We've been doing wine and tarot for like ever, right? And this is just a review to that. I love everything about wine and tarot except the name. So Eve finally let me change the name. Y'all, shout out to Eve for that. But definitely.
I personally love the name Wine and Tarot because where it started and where it evolved to was totally different. But it definitely brought people in because of the intrigue. Like, what do you mean wine and tarot? And it's like, hey, so okay, we changed the name.
A picky. So it's the remix, you know what I'm saying? Just a reboot. It's really the same vibe. We're gonna talk about intimacy and ways to connect more deeply with ourselves and others. And we be on here spilling tea and talking about booty hole magic and whatever we deem appropriate for the moment. Okay, lots and lots of fun. We're gonna give people just a few seconds to get on. Tammy was sharing with me a story that I think is very impactful and very beautiful, and I just wanted to give people a little time to get logged in before we hop too far deep off into the story. But how was your day today, Mia? You made the day beautiful.
I did. It was a just kind of being in a place where you're present. And I think that's what I'm experiencing. Like after, you can never be the same when you start to recognize the different changes and challenges in your life. And it's up to you to actually make the day, to be present with each part of your day. So thinking about the moments where I disconnected, and there were probably about 5 times throughout the day where I was a little bit disconnected. But it's funny because even in my disconnect, spirit was like, like today, I was pulling out the parking lot and I was getting ready to say some things about my nephew that I had noticed in his behavior, right?
Mm-hmm.
And as I was speaking, I accidentally slipped and hit my emergency brake while driving, and my car popped and jumped. And I was like, ooh. And my mom was nervous because, in her little heart, it's healing and everything. So I was like, oh, shoot, make sure we good. And I took that as mindful of what you finna put out in the universe. You know, it's one thing when a person is unconscious and they can't they can't provide medicine from themselves, right? But you are once you are conscious, you have a level of responsibility when it comes to the words that you speak about yourself and others. So if that word that you're speaking does not align with truth and purpose for that individual, then you must be you're I want to say accountable for the medicine. It's almost like what we talked about before. You're administering the medicine that's not healing. It's not therapeutic. It's not going to allow them to grow. It's not going to allow them to thrive. And they're learning how to do that themselves. So that was a moment for me. Other than that, my day was amazing. Hello, Modern Talking. Thank you so much. We recognize your beauty as well because it's just reflections. So we love reflections. So my day was great.
Well, I love that for you. I
My
love
day
what
was
you were
great.
saying
How about you?
about. Oh, we probably got just a smidge of a lag, but I love what you were saying about our words that we speak out of our own mouth being our own medicine, right? And so, hi, Joss. Defund gun control. I guess I'm gonna have to do a lot of. We're gonna definitely have to have like some
A
moderators step
moderator.
up when the late
Or
when the
you could
ladies
just
get
let
in
them be.
here so they can take care of the trolls.
Sometimes trolls are a good thing because trolls invite the right people in. Sometimes the trolls are the reason why people can come in and get the medicine that they need to get in. So it is what it is.
Hey, boo. Aries Moon Tarot in the house. I'm gonna make you a moderator so you can take care of these peoples for me, pretty please. If you got a hand or two. Thank you so much. Just like, period.
Hi.
Who did it? I don't know. I think it's my Mars placement. It's like the way that Mars is placed in my chart means that my community will fight for me. So I don't ever be worried about if some hoes want some action or whatever, because all my sisters coming behind me. What's up?
I love that. That is what's up. You know, that's the epitome of the beehive. You don't Beyonce don't go out there and fight for nobody, don't do no fighting, she don't do no defending, but she has created a community, her beehive, that literally will stand behind her tooth and nail and take care of the naysayers.
That part.
So,
Hey, Mushery. Hey, boo.
hey Marjorie, how you doing? How you feeling?
But so, like you were saying about like the words that we use being our medication, I think that is so important. A lot of times we skip that step of diagnosis, right? Before we start speaking on a thing and start administering medicine, we don't do the appropriate diagnosis. We don't take in the right amount of information that we need in order to really identify specifically what the problem is before we start to treat it, right? So like
Right.
just a simple example of something that we do is like we have a situation where our cash flow is being held for whatever reason, right? Because cash is not always flowing in. Sometimes it's flowing out, sometimes it's stagnant. Like it's a currency, it has different, you know what I'm saying,
Right.
motions and moves and things. So, like, sometimes if it's not flowing the way we want it to flow, we'll say something like, I'm broke. Well,
Right.
that's not an accurate medication for, you know what I'm saying, the
Right.
problem at hand. You never want to say that you broke. I mean, if you want to give an accurate description of what's going on, right? You want to be honest and truthful and in the, vibration of authenticity, you can say there's an issue with the flow of my money that I'm resolving. You know what I'm saying? I'm working through a block with my currency. I'm moving some energy out of the way I have. You know what I'm saying? Like there are other ways that you can express that bring medicine to the issue, that let you know that there's not an issue of lack, because you don't want to invite lack into your life when you're abundant and you got money stored up waiting to flow to you. So just being careful about that diagnosis. And technically, that's what we're here to do today, right? We want to talk to you all. We want to know where your pain points are. We want to hear about the symptoms that you're experiencing in your love life and in your intimate life. And so that we can provide the medicine that is most appropriate for you. So I'm definitely going to want you guys to go ahead and talk back to us and let us know what your pain points are, where it is that you see that you could have some medicine administered in your life so that the information and the topics that we're talking about are relevant to each of you, right? So it's kind of just like a opportunity for y'all to talk back to us and let us know, what's going on in your life. So I definitely just want to encourage you to engage with us and stay active in the chat.
Absolutely. And flow and currency and things like that, your assumption is that it's frequency that was talking about all the different people that called in. And it's up to us to truly decide how we appropriate medicine. Are we that this is what we are? So now we can't be anything else, or a person may have resistance because you may have triggered a wound, rejection, whatever.
Absolutely.
Finish
Hey,
what I started.
Sincere. How are you,
Finishing what
Sincere
I
Vibes? Thank
started.
you for being here. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Yes, and you were breaking up a little bit for me. I don't know if it's just on my end, but there is something that stood out in what you said to me about the responsibility that we have to make sure that we are being authentic in our assessment of the purpose of people's presence in our lives. Right? A lot of times we attach to things that we were only supposed to encounter. Like you were just supposed to experience this person. You were just supposed to journey along with this person, and we make attachments to those people. So it's so important that we are doing the proper um steps, right? To make sure that we are in alignment with the purpose that people come into our lives for. Because sometimes we can look at somebody and be like, "Ooh, that's my this," or "This person is going to be this and that in my life." But did you really consult spirit? Did you really take the time to do an analysis and see where this person actually fits in your life? What level of compatibility the two of you actually have, and what you could actually accomplish with this person, as opposed to the potential or what you may think you want or desire, but what is the true purpose of that person being in your life? And I know I personally have like a practice. Anytime that I encounter anyone, it's me and that archetype deck. We getting in there, and my questions to that deck are always along the line of, what energy will this person be reflecting back to me? Like,
Right.
what part of myself am I to see within this person so that I can evolve and become a better version of myself, right? And sometimes them cards come out in reverse, and spirit is about to show me a shadow aspect of myself through that person. And so if I have already emotionally attached myself to this person, and I'm caught up in the dynamic of our relationship, and that's influencing my emotions because I made that emotional attachment, sometimes them reflecting something back to me is going to be super duper painful. And it's like, had I just taken the warning from spirit that said, "Hey, this person is going to reflect this back to you," and then adjusted the level at which I attached that person and the expectations that I set for that person, I could have then experienced a lot less pain, right? Because those attachments is what creates the suffering in our experience. It's not necessarily the things that occur, it's the way that we feel about those things that occur, our perception of those things that occur. And we can kind of, manage that a little bit more to our benefit if we're consulting spirit to ask about the person's person in our purpose in our life, instead of making assumptions and then making attachments based on those assumptions.
Absolutely. I don't know. I see a couple of comments that said that there is some breaking up, and it does break up on my end too. So when you're talking, it looks like there's a little bit of pause and freezing. Either of us. If not, it's fine. We can just keep it moving.
Okay, yeah, I know you was breaking up a little bit earlier when you was talking, and I asked, and I think she had said that in response to me asking or whatever, and it seems to have gotten a little bit better on my end for you. So we'll just keep pushing through. Worst case scenario, y'all can run the replay back, of course, but we definitely want the
What I'm gonna
interaction as
do is
well.
switch from
So
my Wi-Fi to the I'm gonna switch from Wi-Fi to the phone itself and see if that helps. Is that better for you? Am I coming in clear?
yeah, you coming in clear now. I probably should have said something when we was on Zoom earlier and had you do it then, but and then dawn on me. I think I'm
Yeah.
magical, so I was just gonna breathe through and open up the frequency for you and let the vibrations come through. He said we don't need no Wi-Fi. We are the internet.
Right. It's funny because in this room, in this space, I actually have little bits of like it disconnects off and on. So it's so funny because even yesterday when I was doing the live for the readings, I could see it going in and out, filtering in and out. So I was like, okay, so there's a little bit of connectivity in this space. It's so funny because I'm in the same space, but I promise you, the visions and the people's faces that was coming in the live yesterday is not coming in today.
My
You
sh-
saw,
she saw me when I was trying to. I'll calm it down a little bit. You start coming through clearly or whatever, but I'll blow right through, make a little path for that frequency to get right through. They got me fucked up. Now let me stop.
that's what's up. Okay, so yeah, back to what you were saying in terms of like making sure that we are always in looking at those relationships, and I think that's something that You made a post the other day, and you were talking about how we wait, how long it takes us to even learn, how to love ourselves, right? So if right now in this moment, anybody who listens to this message, runs the replay back, joins this segment, this live, or anything, can take an opportunity to say, you know what, I am worth loving from an intimate perspective. And before I allow another person to mirror back to me one of these painful attachments or shadows, let me do a little bit of work, a little bit of work. And thinking about what you said, like thinking about the whole conversation about loving myself, what does that medicine look like? Who who needs that medicine? Everybody. Everybody. Anybody who is on this planet needs the medicine of loving oneself. And that is that's the first intimate relationship you have outside of your mother and your father as babies. Because that's where you're learning all of the instinctively how to love. And if they're broken and they never learn, how are they going to pass it down to you? What's running in your DNA? What's running through your veins is the consciousness of everyone that preceded you. And it's up to you, just like it was up to them and the ones before them to do something different. So let's do something intentionally different. Let's take the time to say, I'm going to look in this mirror and not look at flaws, find fabulousness in every part or every aspect of my being. How about I connect with my body before I let somebody else tell me what feel good to me intimately? That's something we do. We engage with another partner to tell us, oh, we like that. No, maybe they like that. Maybe that's their consciousness breathing on us, flowing into us. And maybe we really don't like that. And it's not until you get to meet another version of yourself that you realize, I actually like this. I don't like that. And knowing the difference. And like you said, taking only what's necessary. It reminds me of the seven, I want to say the seven of cups is that card that says you are taking too much. Only take what's necessary. And we be trying to bleed the block with some of these folks. We wanna run it to the end of time and become ride or dies and end up dying in the process. I'm good on that. No.
That part. The other day, I was in commune with spirit, and I got a message. It said, "Don't take what you don't want to have."
Mm,
I think throughout my experience, I have been very tolerant, right, of certain things because, I love this person and I will, well, that's okay. We can look over that or, oh, well, it's a small thing, it doesn't amount to all these other wonderful things or whatever, right? And so I would then tolerate those, certain things maybe that I shouldn't have, right? Because the line should be like at whatever point tolerating what someone else is offering you starts to diminish your worth, then there's a problem coming in, right? And then that's the place where you need to set a boundary where that limit between you and that other person exists, right? But I know for me as an empath, I'm like super hypersensual. I get super attached to my partner, super wrapped up into my partner. Some might call it enmeshment. You know what I'm saying? But I truly become one, with my partner. So sometimes it is difficult for me to determine where they end and where I, begin and vice versa. You know what I'm saying? So it's just very important for me that I stay tapped into what I truly desire so that when things that I don't want are starting to be given to me, I can be like, oh no, baby, I don't want that. You can keep that. You
right.
can have that over there. Like if you want that, you can have that. But for me, I'm not gonna take it, right? Because I don't want to have it in my experience. And so learning to in the moment recognize when I'm accepting things that are not aligned with my authenticity, and then also being able to get that energy once I notice up to my throat to be able to express myself or do something about it. Oh, that's been the challenge of a lifetime, but I'm getting really good at it. I'm getting really good at telling people, fuck you. If that's what needs to be told, no matter how much I love them, no matter how much I desire to be connected to them, I'm just to the point where I'm not willing to sacrifice my authenticity in order to be in connection with anyone. So if being in connection with whoever it is requires me to dim my light or to accept things that really are not acceptable in my experience and are not in alignment with what I'm creating for myself, then I just been like, okay, well, you can go do you, whatever it is. This is what it is over here. And if you want to get with this, then great. If not, then you can mosey on and move around, and I'll be, sad to see you go, maybe, depending on how emotionally attached I am. But I'll be okay with that because I would much rather lose you than to lose myself.
Wow, that's beautiful. It's a bold statement, and it's really beautiful because, like, how many of us disconnect from ourselves just to hold on or come or stay attached and enmeshed with somebody else? You said, the moment that I recognize, and I think that's kind of an important piece, right? The moment that I recognize that something is something that this person, that is part of this person's DNA, part of this person's genome, their makeup, and I like XYZ, but I don't like F, I don't like H, I don't like I don't like A, I don't like Q, I don't like R, I don't like T. That doesn't align with me. Am I able to then identify those things, look at it from a place of clarity, and then disconnect from that? Because I feel like for most of us in the past, what we do is not only accept, but take the notion or have the notion that we can change that. Oh, I can fix that. Like you said, empathic people. Most empaths are sensitive. They're healers. Their desire is to heal the world. We came here with a purpose to see the collective in a better way. And so your assumption is that I can fix that, but you can't fix it in them unless you recognize whatever attracted that part in you, right? And how willing are you to take the steps to make an adjustment? So we were talking when we were talking earlier, and I brought up all of the different guys that I attracted in my experience post breakup with the Taurus, right? And I remember there was this one guy I had like, and what I liked about him was his conversation. We had a great flow. We spoke so articulately, and we just connected on a intellectual level. And intellectual empaths love intellectual people because it just stimulates you. It's like, oh my God, what else do you have, right? And then I realized that words and actions did not align. He was a great conversationalist. He would be the perfect author of a book because he had such a broad vocabulary and a broad understanding of a lot of concepts, but there was no action behind it. But that's where he was comfortable. And I was willing to a certain extent, but where we had issue was I'm not gonna chase you. That back in the day gal would chase you. You know that runner chaser? I was like, I've invited you to come to my city. I've invited you to hang out with us. And then you don't take me up on that. In some kind of way, you want me to believe that it's because I don't speak up? No, it's because you want me to chase you. And then when I got real with myself and I was honest, there were things about him that he doesn't do that I enjoy, which is fine. You don't have to do everything that I do. But when you think about longevity in a relationship, people who are compatible, who have activities that are in common, or at least a mindset that's in common, can make it work. He wanted kids. I'm good on that. I'm done with that. He wanted kids, but I wasn't being real. I was like, yeah, I could probably, get a baby put in me so we can have a kid. I'm telling you, that's the compromising. Just for what? To have somebody to lay there, to rub on me, to give me a little bit here and there. Like, you know, you could do that without attaching to a person or compromising yourself. Then I had to look at the other ones and see where else was I making that. And spirit was really showing me, like, you see, you did this for 3 years, and then here it is, you finna do it again. Is that really what you want? And I was like, nah. So it scared me a little bit. And I had to push back. I was like, okay, I'm scared now. I keep attracting people like this and I don't want to compromise myself. And I have to be honest about that, right? Because that's the other thing. Are we honest about what it is we really want and what that looks like? And are we willing to give ourselves the time to expose that, be vulnerable with that part of ourselves so that we can really have it? You know what I mean?
Absolutely. So two things while you was talking, right? So one, and we'll probably circle back to this because I want this to ruminate, and I want the audience to pitch in on this one to help us, right? Because I ain't even got the answer yet. Okay, so the question is, like, what is being reflected back to us when people want us to chase them?
I
When we when
I
we
like being
encounter
chased.
people.
I love it. I like because I grew up in that era where we are courted. Women should be courted, right? I like that. It shows me. It
Right. So
shows
why
me
would
that
we
you.
attract a man that want us to chase them? What is that reflecting back to us? If we know that we want to be pursued, and that's what's truly aligned with our authenticity, is to be pursued as a woman, right? Like, we want you to come and get it. What is it that would attract men that also want to be pursued, that are not complementary to what it is that we
Mm,
desire? So just think on that. Everybody think on that. I want to
mm,
hear some answers popping up in the chat as
mm,
spirit starts to speak to y'all to tell us what within us could attract that. You know what I'm saying? Could attract a man that wants to be chased. I don't know about y'all, but I have definitely throughout my experience attracted some men who wanted me to pursue them. And I'm like, what invites that energy? Definitely not all the men I've attracted or anything like that, but there are some who do. Okay. And then the other thing that I was thinking about, I was connecting this topic that we're speaking about with the issue that we were having with connectivity when we first got on this call, right? So if you think about the connection that you have through your phone that connects you to the network, right? That you're paying for, that is aligned to this particular telephone. They got your EID, the E, you know what I'm saying? Like, there's a specific receptivity, a specific line of communication that is designed for you, right? And then we also have Wi-Fi. Anybody can connect to the motherfucking Wi-Fi, right? It's not specific to your phone. Anybody could connect to the Wi-Fi. So you have these two different networks, right? And I think about it of like our personal line that we have to source that's within us, right? That personal connection that we have, right? But then we can also like connect to source through other people, right? Like, that's the whole point of intimacy, right? Like, being able to open up to another person and allow them into your intimate space and you into theirs, right? And so you on their Wi-Fi, right? They sharing their connection with you, right? So it may be the Wi-Fi that's specific to someone's home or specific to a place that you're in or whatever. You might decide to go ahead and connect to that Wi-Fi, right? But at some point though, you have to be able to know, okay, I'm connected to this other person's Wi-Fi, and so I might be susceptible to viruses. They might be able to tap into my phone and steal my information. They may, you know what I'm saying? You have to know that when you have that Wi-Fi switch on, you're open to those other influences, and you have to be able to say within yourself, like, how much am I willing to compromise in order to be connected to other people? How
uh,
much am I willing to put like in harm's way, right? Because if it's a home network, then you go ahead and you let down the firewalls and you know what I'm
right,
saying. But if it's not a
right,
private network, then you don't give them all access, right? So just being able to make that distinction and to also know when you need to turn the Wi-Fi off, when the signal ain't going through, when it ain't working for you, when you're not able to communicate on that line, when the information that you have is not flowing freely back and forth. Sometimes you got to turn that Wi-Fi off and get back
right,
to your individual line that is specifically set up for you, for source to be able to, connect to you and give that intimacy within yourself to yourself. You
right,
know what I'm saying? So I was like,
right,
oh, that's a super cool connection as to, like, this
right,
same topic that we're talking about, because there's nothing wrong with connecting to Wi-Fi and using, Wi-Fi when it's appropriate to use Wi-Fi. But if Wi-Fi ain't working, the alternative should be your individual source. So I don't know if you had opportunity to look at some of the comments and see if people are responding to the question, but I just want to put it out there one more time. What what is being reflected back to us as feminine energy when the masculine that we would like to connect with is searching to be chaste? Like what is
Right.
being reflected back to us from within us, and what can we adjust within ourselves if we no longer want to see that reflection? That's the question for the chat for you guys to chime in. I definitely want to hear some answers. Aries moon, goddess Moncherie, y'all pitch in. Thank you so much, sincere vibes. It looks like she said your comment made me think of how men are hunters by nature. So, absolutely agree. It may be masculine energy. Moncherie said, I feel like I have to ask myself if I trust, feel worthy way deep down. Yeah, that can definitely hinder the
Right.
ability to attract partners that want to pursue you if you don't trust
Right.
yourself. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
If you have some uncertainty about who you are and what you're worthy of, that could do the trick for sure,
Right.
definitely. And I agree with you, sincere. I definitely believe that that is, the masculine energy is designed to hunt, is designed to conquer, right? And
Right.
the feminine energy is supposed to, you know,
Right.
just flirty and play and let him, play his little game or whatever, even though ultimately we know what we want, right? And we know who we want to be pursued by and who we're going to allow to overtake us, or, who we're going to succumb, who we're going to submit to. But the man
Right.
needs to be doing the chasing or whatever. But I think,
Right.
exactly what you said, Marjorie, about feeling worthy of that, right? Because if I don't feel worthy of that, then I'm willing to settle for someone who feels worthy within themselves, right? Out and pursue that person. So I fuck with that response for sure.
You said something really big in connection to what they were saying, and that's in regards to the submissive, right? And so if we take it back to the whole church thing, wives submit to your husband. And that has been so distorted and misconstrued that so many people are afraid of submission because they are afraid to have partners or be in partnership or in connection with someone who is not worthy, right? But never do we look at what submission means. Submission can come in many ways. And literally, when I submit an application, that means that I actually entered the application. If I'm doing an application online, once I submit it, I have transmitted it, I have sent it over, I have given permission for these people to view me, to see me. Submission is giving a permission to allow you in my space. Until I submit, you ain't getting access. Aries, I'm sorry. Yes, we did see your comment. It was truth. And you said because we are masculine. And I think that in a lot of regards, that can be true. There could be a lot of masculine energy that is that we're in, but it also takes us back to that element of trust, in my opinion. Not, it don't make it go, but honestly, how many of you guys have um attracted partners that were not trustworthy? That's a big mirror. How many of them straight up told you in the beginning they had trust issues, and the very thing that you thought you needed to do was prove to them how trustworthy you were, how you could be trusted, how you were a safe space, how you could be loving, you could love them past their pain and trauma, but yet you haven't really learned to trust your own intuition. You haven't had a relationship with your intuition in years. You're still, overlooking the voice that says, "Watch it, sis. Watch it, sis. This one ain't it." Or "Watch it, bruh. This one ain't it." Because it's not just us feminine. It's also the masculine as well. The masculine have to do the same thing because they get taken advantage of too. Men get taken advantage of too. Men get mistreated in intimate relationships too. And a man who gets their little heart broke don't want to get back out there. They just want to hoe around and be like, I'm gonna just get, I'm never coming out of this space again. Right. So it goes both ways, but it's a level of trust that comes in. You want to get the next
Yeah, I saw the Ethereum came in hot. She said sometimes women can approach romantic relationships with a mothering mindset, which
mm,
doesn't leave room for the man to show up. And I think that speaks exactly to what you were saying of like we show up in these relationships auditioning and trying to prove that we are this and trying to prove that we can, you know, give this comfort or give this and do this and be this and do this, right? Those are all masculine things. Showing up
right,
wanting to prove to somebody what I can do. Uh-uh.
right,
If you have anything within yourself that's like, oh well, let me show this man what I can do, that's masculine energy.
right,
Shift right on out of that. You shouldn't have to show up to your relationships um proving what you're worth by what you can do. You should simply be able to just be. And if there's
be
any inkling that in order for you to be loved or to be cherished or appreciated or comforted or provided for or whatever it is that you may want in a relationship that you have to do something for it, red flag.
right,
Red flag, because at no point should you feel like you have to earn someone's love or should you be
right,
auditioning to prove yourself to somebody, right? And you definitely shouldn't be standing in the role of a mother, like we were talking about earlier, about being authentic, about the purpose that somebody is supposed to serve in your life, and then vice versa, the purpose that you're supposed to serve for them, right? Because you're not out here to be these men mama.
right,
Like they already, you know what I'm saying, had one, and then if for
right.
whatever reason that relationship was not what it needed to be, the same way that I have had to step up in that role and reparent my inner child, I deserve a
Is it
partner.
me or
Oh, it's breaking up. But the same way that I have cultivated that inner parent within me to take care of my inner child, I deserve a partner who has done the same thing. I shouldn't have to show up as a mother to my partner. So if at
right,
any point like the things that I feel drawn to do is to hop into that mothering role, then I need to reevaluate myself, right, and my own worth and what it is that I'm settling for. And if I'm really being honest with myself about the purpose that I have in this person's life, because maybe spirit connected me to this person so that I could teach them how to do inner child work. But instead of me teaching them how to do the inner child work, I want to prove what a magical fairy I am and try to do it for them, right? And then that ends up being to my detriment and theirs because you can't do nobody else's inner child work for them. You can't stand in the place of a parent for a grown ass person. They have to decide to do that for themselves, right? And when we decide to do that, we cripple them. And like she said, they don't even have the space or opportunity to show up as a man because in this society, quite honestly, a lot of women have more developed masculine energy than the men. And I mean, it's kind of sad but true, and vice versa. A lot of these men have more feminine energy than a lot of the women, and it's up to us to restore that balance. But it's got to start with the individual, right? So as we talk about intimacy and the alchemization that is necessary, it's for us to realize, okay, if I'm attracting feminine men, then I need to take a look at my own femininity, take a look at my own masculinity, and address any imbalance that exists within me so that I can attract something different, as opposed to turning the mirror outside and saying, oh, these, you know what I'm saying? And being like, the problem is with this other individual. Yes. The thing that's presenting, if a man wants you to chase him, that's problematic, right? But also being able to own that, okay, well, what is it within me that I can adjust, even if it's just my interest in this person? You know what I'm saying?
right? Well, even going back to being in that space of attracting a man who wants you to chase them is a great indicator that you don't know how to receive. It's a great indicator that you need to be in control. And a lot of time trauma does that to us. When you think about the traumas that you've experienced in your life, you never want to go back to that place, right? I never want to, your mindset is, I never want to. And so a good practice, and I ain't trying to give you no medicine yet, but here you go. A good practice is to look and identify your I never want to's again. And as you explore those I never want to's, I never want to get cheated on. I never want to be lied to. I never want to be hurt. I never want to be in a relationship where I lose myself. Explore those I never want to's, writing them down. And as you start to write each one of those I never want to's down, it gives you the space to experience what that I never want to was and release, because that is also part of that submission, right? When we're in submission, we are saying, I am ready to receive. The application goes to the next partner, the next party, right? And they review it and they see if what you've put in that application based on that job description aligns with what they're looking for, right? If it doesn't align, they reject it. You have to also be okay with rejecting someone's submission just because they showed up with an application. And that goes back to that trust piece. It goes back to, do I trust myself? Like Moncherie said, do I trust myself enough? And what does that look like? What does trust for me look like? What does stability look like for me? And how do I feel safe? Because if you've ever been a victim, or I don't want to use the word victim, but if you've ever been assaulted in an intimate way, trust is one of the hardest things for you to regain,
Yeah.
to be able to relax, to be able to allow another person to touch you in a certain way, to look at you and it doesn't even have to be an essay. It could be a physical assault. A physical assault can do the same thing. Your mind is wired to a certain, it's programming itself a certain way. You have to go back to those traumatic moments and give yourself permission to release that. Each person is different. You recognize the energy and then you can move forward and learn to trust. But it starts here. It starts here.
So I don't know if y'all caught that, but y'all got y'all homework, right? So the homework, because we got about like 20 more minutes. I'm gonna talk a little bit about what you just said, Tammy, and just develop it out a little bit more. This is what you do, right? You write down all your nevers. Like, I never want to feel belittled again, right?
Mm.
I never want to feel less than. I never want to have physical violence in my relationship. You know what I'm saying? Like, write out all your nevers, right? And I want you to write that on one piece of paper. And then on another piece of paper, I want you to counteract that, right? So if the first one was, I never want to feel belittled again, I want you to say, I always want to feel honored and respected, or I always want to be built up by my partner, by myself and my partner, right? And say, it's, I always want, peaceful communication between me and my partner, right? Take the one where you wrote your nevers, burn that shit up, right? And then, like, spend some time with your what you always want paperwork, and looking at what it is that you always want, and make sure that you're always providing that to yourself, right? So you make the list of what you never want, you counteract it with what you always want, and you make sure that you're providing those things to yourself on a consistent basis, right? That's how you pull in what it is that you want. Real simple shit. Get rid of all of those
Right.
levers, get them all out, express them, really go down deep go through your reflections, right? And then say what it is that you don't want. Write out what you do want. Always use always in your statements. You can hit them with a Love Maroon classic, in this universe and all universes. You know what I'm saying? Hit them
Ooh.
with that. You know what I'm saying? I always want this in this universe and all universes. And be sure about that. Make sure stuff that you're sure about, and then be willing to provide it to yourself. If you know that it's not something that you're willing to provide it to yourself, still write it down so that you can come to a place of acceptance that if you want to have something, you have to create it.
Right.
But be mindful of whether or not you really are willing to provide it to yourself, and what you can do in order to make an adjustment, right? So that's a beautiful exercise. I really love that. And then there's something else that you brought up that I wanted to talk about today, and that's relaxation. All right. So as we think about trust, um, is foundational to being able to relax. And in order to truly get in a space of pleasure when we're in intimate connection with ourselves or other people, we have to first be able to relax. That's like the foundation of pleasure is relaxation, right? And so I have just another little exercise for you guys that you can do. Okay. It's this concept of tighten and release, right? So, like, the difference between being relaxed and being in control, right? So, both of those elements are necessary for pleasure, for climax. You have to be able to tense up and tighten up and hold it in, and then you have to be able to relax and release all of the tension and let the pleasure flow in, right? So I want you to, like, take note of your body, right? See, Is your jaw clenched? Is your jaw relaxed? What does it feel like when my jaw is relaxed? What does it feel like when my temples are relaxed versus when they're tight? What does it feel like when my neck is stiff versus when it's relaxed? What does it feel like when my shoulders are tight, intense versus when they relax, you know? And so being able to create that tension and build that tension and tighten and then release. That's a skill, right? That's a skill that you need to be able to have in order to climax this. So I want you to practice that in every part of your body. What does it feel like when I have tension in this part of my body? And what does it feel like when I'm relaxed? So that when you are in intimate situations with yourself or with others, you can have like, a consciousness of what state your body is in. And if your true desire is to achieve pleasure, then you need to be on top of that. Relax versus a tighten. Tighten and release. Tighten and release. So that's another little exercise to carry y'all through or whatever. And I'll be posting some more information like specific about that throughout the week or whatever, because that's gonna be like my little thing, because that's so important. We tend to try to control everything and every aspect because we don't trust.
Right.
And of course, there are some things that are within our control that we should be controlling, right? Like our creativity, our imagination, our divinity. You know what I'm saying? Our seductive, you know what I'm saying? Our artistry. Those are things where we can come in and we do have control over how we express those things. But when it comes to exactly when you're gonna climax, you might need to relax a little bit and be open to the flow. You might need to hold off a little bit once you get right there to the edge and decide, so just deciding, where do I want to exercise control? Where do I want to relax? Where do I want to tighten? Where do I want to release?
I really like that because you brought up some really really good points. Like taking it from you think about it from a spiritual standpoint, right? Where I can where do I have control and where do I not have control? So let's talk about anatomy for just a few minutes. When we are developed as embryos, when we come together as two individual seeds, male consciousness, female consciousness, come together and create, the first thing that's created is the heart. The heart is the first piece that is seen and it beats autonomously. It's without a brain. The brain hasn't been put into the body yet. The body hasn't developed yet. Yet they both work independently of each other. So once the brain is developed, the brain is responsible for um, functions that happen in our body. Right? We think thoughts. That's a brain mechanism. We can move our hands. We can, and these are controls, right? But these aren't things that we came to the planet with, right? Because our hands would be moving, but we learned how to control those aspects of ourselves. We came here with legs, we came here with feet, but it took us time to learn how to control our limbs, those motor skills, right? And so when we think about and those are action, when we think about certain things, there's certain muscles in our bodies that are in our control when we think them. And then there are other muscles like the uterus that actually have the connective tissues within the uterus actually move on their own. That's why the babies, when you get ready to have a baby, you really don't have that much control over the pushing process. You're intuitively, instinctively feeling that pressure and you're pushing, but it's also doing it for itself. It's happening autonomously without your control. Now, what do you have control over when you think about it? What you enjoy, what you see, what you allow yourself to see, what you watch on TV, what you listen to, what you put in your physical mouth, where you go, where you drive. But aside from that, your body works on in its roles, in its specified roles on its own without your input. That's why when a person, a female or male, has a uh, a physical assault or sexual assault, their bodies still produce. They still have orgasms naturally. Those are things that happen naturally. Female vagina still gets moist. Those things happen naturally. And then there's that shame, like I can't believe I let my body. This, I didn't. because I didn't want this, because there are certain things that just happen naturally, right? And so it's like, how do I get into a place of surrender? Surrender, right? Surrender allows us to release a lot. It allows us to, when you say the body needs to be able to tense up, needs to relax. To relax is to be in surrender. And when I get out of the mindset that I have to control everything, what do you really have control over? You don't have control over when the sun rises. You don't have control over when these stars come. When you don't have control over these storms coming through, you don't have control over that person thought you might think you do. You can send them some little energy here and there, and that does work. Telepathy, it works. However, what do you really have? And when you get into that mindset that, do I really need to control so many things? How about I experience them? Wow, this was a nice experience. I enjoyed that. And let that flow out. And then allow myself to be open to more. Because when I'm in that space, that's when I'm really able to receive. When we're channeling, I know I'm not the only one on here that channels. We all do, right? Some level, we channel. The more resistance and the more doubt you have, the more you question the sounds, the noises, the taste, the information. But when you go with the flow, when you go with the flow, you allow yourself to just be in tune. Doesn't it flow so natural? It's like, oh, I did hear that. And you're able to deliver that word, that message. And they're like, that's exactly what I was thinking. That's exactly what I needed. Because it's that easy. You didn't have to do anything. You didn't have to force it. And it takes me back to the relationship aspect. Like, how powerful. What is it that, and if you think about it, if I'm running from it, it's one or two reasons. I'm either repelling it, so I got to chase it down, or it's afraid of me. I'm too much for it, or there's something about me that makes it run from me. Magnets work in two ways. They either attract or repel. Which one you gonna be? In the stronger connection, when you ain't doing nothing, it's just coming towards you. Isn't that kind of beautiful? I think so. Just something to think about. And then one more piece. Back to the lesson, right? So when you think about your always state, for those who get stuck from time to time when you're thinking about, okay, I know what I desire, but I don't know how to put it in words. Look at the thing that you are afraid, your never statement, and you can Google antonyms, which is the opposite, and then 7 synonyms, and find you a high frequency word. Make sure that word have a high frequency, not multiple definitions, but a high frequency. And you can put in that, say in that statement, my always statement, 5 or 6, 7. I like 7. Seven's a good number for me. When I like to transmute something specifically, I like to find 7 synonyms, because then I can interchange them, and now I have 7. I know, I feel, I am statements, always statements that I can align to and be in tune with, so I can really attract that thing. That's it. That's it.
I
That's
love
all.
that. I love what you just said about the frequency of the words, and making sure that we choose words that don't have any like ambiguity or like multiple definitions to them, right? People get all deep about the grand rising versus morning or whatever, but the issue is not that there's anything wrong with saying good morning. It's that that word also has other associations, and if you're not careful about the intention that you're putting with that word, you can be drawing in energy that you don't really want. So I really like what you said about using high frequency words that don't have multiple definitions, that you're certain about exactly what it means, and that energy, that feeling that it invokes when you hear the word, right, is what I would be using as a gauge. Like when you go and if you need to look up the antonyms, the word that invokes the most emotion, that you get the most feeling from, that's the
Yes.
one you use for your
Yeah.
always statement, because it's so important that your emotions are invoked by the words that you use, right? And then back to the other piece of the exercise, right, about the relaxation. So as you start to notice when your body is tense versus when it's relaxed, when Eve was talking about like our body's natural faculties, a lot of times we'll think, well, my vagina got wet, so I must like this person, or well, the sex was good, because of our bodies are doing their natural function, or even like I came, so it must be because our bodies are doing their natural function. But are you really paying attention to the way that the rest of your body is responding when you're in somebody's presence, whether or not you're able to relax around this person, whether or not your shoulders tense up a little bit when they come around, whether or not you squeeze your booty and your butt cheeks a little tensed up when they come into the presence or whatever. You feel a little tension in your knees. You clap your knees together whenever they walk into a space or whatever, right? And it's not like a good tighten that you do in the, and just being aware of like where your body is telling you whether or not this person is aligned to the energy that you're in, right?
Right.
And then sometimes the reason that we're uncomfortable with people is not because there's something wrong with the person, or even because there's something wrong with us, but just something that we need to be conscious of, that we need to be aware of. There's a message for us in that tension. So I just wanted to bring that up, because if we want to be able to surrender, if we want to be able to submit, we have to be aware of the spaces where we are not in the energy to do that, and to be able to drill back down to, okay, well, why am I tense right here? What is this tension communicating to me? What is my body trying to tell me in this moment?
And knowing that just because it started one way doesn't mean it'll continue to be that way, because over time either our minds we've reconditioned ourselves to feel something different about a person, or something shifted within their energy and our energy, and be aware of it. And I'll say that because in one of my relationships I was very vulnerable in that space, and she and I, Sunshine and I, were having a conversation about seeds, and the seeds that were planted that reflected back. And I had to think about the consciousness that I went into the relationship with, which was fresh out of an abusive relationship, still not learning, hadn't learned to trust myself, still hadn't really done any inner work. I didn't even know what inner work was. All I knew was that I wanted a certain kind of partner. I wanted to feel safe. I wanted somebody who would be there, somebody who had a caring heart, and I got that. But I didn't define anything else. I didn't have other definitions in that space. Well, he was a great caretaker. I remember there would be times when I would leave my mom's, because I had left my husband to come to my mom's, and I would go to his house and I could sleep for hours. I had peace there. But that shifted what I mean is when we started living together and we had gotten our own place, and the dynamic of our relationship shifted before I was completely aware my body was, because my ability to fall asleep next to him changed. My ability to want to stay close and connected to him changed. I was pushing him away. He would be like, "Why are you pushing me away? Why you keep turning your back to me?" I didn't know. I didn't know. I wasn't in tune with that frequency that the universe was showing me. And so our body is the biggest resource that we think money is the resource. This thing right here is serving us 100%. If you talk about ride or die, your body is the biggest ride or die you could ever have. And it talks to you on so many layers, so many layers. And so when you take the time to actually relax, you can feel where your body is talking to you. I thought that when I had to use the restroom, I always thought that it was associated with pain. That's my solar plexus. I thought I automatically had to have pain to go to have a bowel movement. And it wasn't until I had a period of time, a small period, that I was eating clean. And it wasn't hard, it wasn't painful, it didn't burn. I didn't have gas. I just had this inner thought, like, I think I need to go to the restroom. And sure enough, I did. It was subtle changes, but if if I hadn't like started to pay attention, I would have not known and probably had an accident or whatever, because I was used to the pain. I was conditioned to the pain, and I was expecting to yield results only when I was in pain. And can you imagine how many other times I did that to myself in my relationships? Because it's only a mirror. So, pay attention to the shifts as well, not just in the beginning, but throughout, because things could be good and then there could be subtle shifts. And it's up to you to decide how you want to move. But your body gonna be the biggest. It's a snitch. Your body a snitch.
Big facts. And okay, just a couple more things. We only got a couple more minutes before we hop off of here or whatever. I made a commitment that we wasn't gonna be over here for more than an hour. Um for many, many reasons, because Juan and Tara, we used to be up in the midnight hours. We'd have been on live for 3, 4 hours. But Eve, she does readings for the collective on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday on TikTok, and then she posts them on YouTube as well. And then on a certain Saturday of the month, she does subscription readings for subscriber readings for all of the people who are subscribed to her TikTok. So on Saturday, this woman was on live from like 7 o'clock in the morning to like 10, 11 o'clock in the morning, doing individual readings for the people that are subscribed to her TikTok channel. And then boom, got to turn around today and be on live. So I definitely just want to honor you and be respectful of like the energy that you give out to the collective, and to not like, abuse or overdo, right? And so make sure that you stay in a space of relaxation. So I'm gonna add these last couple things, and then I'm gonna let you give your closing words, and we're gonna be out of y'all hair or whatever. We already gave you your homework and everything that you need to be successful until we meet again for the next couple of weeks. You can take those 2 assignments and do one this week, one next week, or you can run them simultaneously over the next couple of weeks, whatever feels good to you. Um, but as you were speaking, I thought about the fact that I had hosted a retreat, and there was a massage therapist at the retreat or whatever. And the one of the ladies that was at the retreat, she said that the massage therapist reminded her of someone that she knew, right? And so sometimes when we encounter someone, their energy is just familiar to us. And so she wasn't able to really relax and enjoy the massage because there was some familiarity with this person, right? And so I want to take it beyond just intimate relationships, also into our friendships and our connections with our family as well, right? So that whenever we are faced with tension with someone, it might be with your homegirl because she reminds you of something in your mother that you still haven't addressed within yourself that needs to heal. And so your homegirl is here doing you a favor, triggering you, reminding you of your mother so that you have an opportunity to heal, but then you lashing out at your homegirl. You know what I'm saying? So just being aware of like where the tension in your body is coming from, where it's being stored, and what it's communicating to you, not just in your intimate relationships, but in your connections with other people. The next time that you meet somebody and it's just kind of like, think about who they remind you of and what the universe may be trying to bring back up for you, because it's an opportunity for you to heal. It's an opportunity for you to work through something. And who's to say, you know what I'm saying, that person isn't presenting you with the opportunity to heal. And you were talking about the fact that our worth lies within us, right? So I don't remember exactly how much it was. Maybe that can be like the bonus question for next time, right? Whoever can come back and tell us how much an ounce of melanin is worth.
Mm,
Right? Because if you go and you look and you see how much just an ounce of melanin is worth, you'll never call yourself broke again. Because
mm,
you have a wealth lying within you, just in your skin, baby girl. Just in your skin, you have wealth lying within you. And sometimes we get so focused on the byproduct, right? Of like a bank account full of money or all of the material possessions that we want or whatever, right? When the whole time we got the source right here within us, right? And all we have to do is turn this source that we have into whatever byproduct it is that we want, instead of craving after things that are external to us. You got all the value right within yourself. So next time somebody come ready to tell us how much an ounce of melanin is worth, okay?
all right. I love that because one of my favorite songs is the Halle song. And when she says, "You can probably see the gold in my skin," that hits so hard. It's like for me, in the era that I grew up in, and watching, you know, underrepresentation, positive influences of pigmentation, darker pigment, or even melanin. Hearing her say that, She said, "Rich blood. You can see the gold in my skin. Like rich blood. That's what's passed down from generation to generation." And so it's like, man, my DNA is rich. There's no reason why I should ever call myself broke. And broke ain't even financial. It's a break in frequency, a lack of connection. So if we really think about that, is that what we really want for ourselves? No, I don't think so. Like it's so, but we here to deliver this medicine. That's what we here. We gonna make sure that we gonna do the correct analysis before we come up in this thing. Just start giving out medicine. We gonna do it right, y'all. We gonna do it right. Thank you.
Yes, and then
Thank
I also want to encourage y'all like to connect with us individually, right? So maybe you were on this broadcast today and you don't want to share publicly the medicine that it is that you need or what you're dealing with or what you would like spirit to bring to this platform in order to nourish you. But you can definitely reach out to us individually. You can put us in a group chat and let us know what you would like to hear on this platform, what struggles you have around intimacy and being able to alchemize that into the pleasure that you desire in your life. Definitely, we want to open up the doors for anyone who is involved to help us diagnose you. Like, tell us what your symptoms are, what it is you're experiencing, or whatever, so that we can bring the medicine that's within us to this platform. But I thank each and every one of you for tuning in. All of you have been such a vibe. I thank you for the feedback. I'm not the absolute best at interaction with the chat or whatever, but I want to touch y'all. I want to feel y'all. I want to get the vibes back. I appreciate all the fire emojis and the laughs and the hearts and just all the agreement and the affirmation that came through the chat as well. I love each and every one of you. I thank you for your time and attention, because you don't have to be here. You could be doing anything. Apparently it's the NBA finals or something going on right now. Like, it's other things that you could be doing, but you chose to be here. You chose to devote this time to yourself and to your own self-love and to your own creation of pleasure in your experience. And I appreciate you entrusting us with this opportunity to pour into you and to give you the medicine that spirit has provided to us.
Yes, indeed. And I want to piggyback on that and say thank each and every one of you. So I'm gonna shout y'all out real quick. Thank you, Aries Moon. Thank you, Moncherie. Thank you, the ethereal mom, and I don't know who else is on here. Let me double check real quick.
Jasmine Smith came through,
Thank
Miss
you, Jen.
Ray May,
Thank you, Raymond,
um,
and a
Sincere
couple.
Vibes. Yes, Sincere, you've definitely been a vibe this whole time. Super grateful for your contributions.
Both of you, all of you, we're grateful.
Yeah,
So,
and if we missed anybody, it was not intentional. Modern Talking, thank you for hopping in as well. You were the first person on the live, so I just really appreciate everybody's time and attention.
thank you, and we look forward to seeing you guys in 2 weeks, second and fourth Sunday, 7 p.m. Central Standard Time, coming to bring you the best medicine, intimacy, and alchemy.
See y'all next time.
Bye, guys.